everyone, welcome to the second part of this series, very mini series. This will be the final part from the lovely Fur Balls book. Yesterday we did our lamb, and today we're going to do the sort of frame. I was trying to explain what I was going to do and I thought it was just easier to make a video, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and probably just use the colours that I've already used, so I'm not, maybe not for this background here, but for the rest, so that we're not going too mad on colour. I think we want to keep it limited. I think it'd be nice. So for this frame, I was umming and ahhing yesterday. I've decided that doing it in the fancy pink might be rather nice because it will sort of stand out. So I'm just going to start by doing that and leaving the leaves to do later. So I'm going to sort of put it on fairly dark, and I'm not going to worry about any sort of shading for this one. It's just going to be a flat colour. Now actually I find doing flat colour much more difficult than doing something that isn't flat, because if you miss bits you have to try and go back and get the hardness of the pencil, you know, how hard you press right, so that it looks as flat as possible. And yeah, I find that really tricky. But if you, like with the leaves, I won't colour them just flat. I will vary my intensity of colour from base to tip, and if that isn't identical on every leaf then it's fine, because it just looks like, you know, it's nature. Oh, I just put my elbow down on a Posca pen. It's not the most comfortable rest. I wouldn't recommend it. No. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. I'm not sure how much time you'll have to be watching videos. Sorry, the light is making a lot of shade. This weekend, a bank holiday weekend, I think these probably we will be going out over that weekend. I'm not sure, or it's approaching the weekend anyway. It's rather fun having the time off, but you know I'm going to be busy on the Friday, the Good Friday. I'm visiting my sister. My husband's not at work. Her husband doesn't work Fridays anyway. So me and her being self-employed, we can be quite flexible. So visiting her because it's her son's birthday on the Thursday. Is that called Maunday Thursday, I think? So we're visiting her on that day, and then on the Sunday, Easter Sunday, we're visiting my father-in-law. We haven't actually seen him and his partner, or my brother-in-law, who's going to be there as well, and my niece and nephew. We haven't seen them since Christmas, and it just seems to be hardly any time since Christmas. It seems to have flown by, so that's really interesting. But anyway, so it'll be nice to see them for lunch and afternoon tea. We've been invited for. My husband wasn't sure about staying for afternoon tea because he thought it was a Sunday, we might be the children might have college the next day. I was like, no, it's in their holidays, plus it's a bank holiday on the Monday. Sorry, I just got to wipe my nose, and then we'll grab our green. So I think I'm going to use the darker of the two greens that I used. I've actually kept them out of the tins so that I can grab them. Green grass I'm going to use for this. I think because it's a frame, it looked nicer with a darker colour. I'm really hoping my white pen is dried, because I'm going to be putting my hand all over it now. So I'm doing a darker base for the leaf and a lighter tip, just like I always do for leaves. I'm going to run through them quite quickly because it's probably not that interesting. Now my pink frame, I can see here it's not very neat. I might go back and neaten that up after, but I'm not going to worry about it now on video. In fact, because I'm doing this on video and I'm going to finish the whole thing on video, I think. I probably won't ever go back and change it. I'm not that sort of... I've only ever done that for one picture, where I went back and reworked it a little bit. I just don't do that. I like my pictures to be like a testimony of what I was like at that stage, not me reworking it when I get a bit better. I'd rather just buy a new book and do a completely new version of the picture and then compare them, rather than just changing the one I've done. But I know different people have different points of view on that, and that's absolutely fine. We are all entitled to be different, but for me that isn't. And I'm also very lucky to have lots of colouring books, so I've got lots of pictures to do. Whereas if I only had one book and I was sort of coming to the end of it, then I might go back and rework some of the pictures, you know, because I didn't have a new book to go to. But I'm incredibly lucky to be having been given lots of books as gifts. Books from... Now that looks really messy. I've got to go back and just do that again. I said I wasn't going to. I was a liar. It just... particularly that one over there, but I'm just going to do it all now. It's a bit easier once you've done the other bit to see. This is rather answering that, do I do background first or last? Well, I did it first and now I'm doing it last. You know, there are pros and cons to each. I tend to plan it first and do it last, but oops, out of the line she goes. Not always. Just to be confusing. Right, for our main bit of background, we're not going to use a pencil. That's a lot. I know it's only a small book, but it's too daunting for me to think about trying to do that all in a pencil. Now, I had initially thought about doing it blue like the sky, but I think it's going to... I want our little picture to stand out. So I'm going to do this background. I'm just going to brush it off in a pale creamy yellow pastel from my Mungyo set. Let's put it there. That's not the right way up. Let's turn it around. You can see the yellows. So I'm going to do it a yellow colour. I don't think I can sit that on there. I should put it over this side. It's going to be quite difficult getting in there without getting it on this bird. That bookmark isn't quite long enough. That would be useful. Hang about, I've got some paper here. It's just a download picture. But I printed it onto copy paper, which I'm not going to colour it on there. I've got some nice new paper. So I've got a cotton swab. Now, I've only got quite vibrant yellows. I don't think my cream is going to show up. Let me just show you. So I've got two whites and this sort of creamy colour, and then two quite bright yellows. The cream, I know from experience, doesn't show up, so I think I'm going to use this lemon yellow. Look at my pastels. This one, the yellows are so used. When I run out, I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, I'm going to use the lemony yellow. I don't know, can you buy open stock replacement pastels? I think I know the answer. Ah, you used to be able to buy them from my art shop, so I was wrong. The Faber-Castell ones, she used to sell single pastels, but unfortunately she's closed down. So I don't know whether the other art shop in the area sells them. The only problem with them is I find their products are quite old. Their turnover is quite small. Now, although I love to support local businesses, I bought some Caran d'Ache luminance pencils from them, and they were really old and dry and nasty, and it totally made me think that Caran d'Ache luminance pencils were rubbish, until I started reading about them more and people going, they're amazing, they're so soft and creamy, and I was like, mine's just horrible and hard and crumbly. So I don't understand. So I wrote to Caran d'Ache, you know, via their website, and said, you know, I've got your pencils and they're rubbish. Well, I didn't say that, obviously. I said they're all dry and don't seem to work properly. And they said, well, send us a photograph of the serial numbers on them, because they have a barcode on Caran d'Ache pencils. Some sort of number. Anyway, they told me what to photograph. This was the main head office. And I sent them the photo, and they said one of them is a faulty batch, which should have been record, and obviously wasn't. This is going to be so tricky. And the other one, you can watch me struggle while I try and struggle to talk and to do pasteling. That's a word. Let's just get it all down there. There we go. At the same time. So they hadn't recorded it, and the other one they said was just really, really old and it had probably dried out. Now, I had no idea that old pencils dried out. Did you? I know that happens with pens, markers and things like that, but not with pencils. But anyway, they very kindly replaced both the pencils for me. I just threw the others away because they really, I mean, it pained me, but they really were just rubbish. I couldn't use them. So I threw them away. They sent me 2 replacements, one for each of the pencils that was bad, and some free blending sticks, which was so kind of them. And it made me want to buy luminants just because they were so good, but as a thank you to the company, you know, Caran d'Ache. But I couldn't just justify just going out and buying luminance pencils, so I didn't. Now, you notice that I have put my pastel all over the leaf design. Now, obviously, it's very tricky to go around such an intricate design, which is why I decided not to. But I've got to now think about colouring it. Now, one thing you can do with pastels is you can erase. So you can do this and then erase the pastel from all the places that you want to colour. But I'm not going to do that because my leaves are going to be green. If they've got a yellow base, it doesn't matter, which is partly why I chose the colour yellow and not a purple or an orange or the other things I was slightly considering. So, well, although orange would work. So I'm done with my pastel now. I'm just going to put my pastels away so I don't knock them all over the floor. And also make myself a bit of space. Right, and then I'm going to grab the green. Now I'm going to use the lighter green that we used for the grass, which was the Grub Green. But we now have a problem that we have all this pastel everywhere. So I'm going to use a piece of paper that I was using on that page, fold it in half and lean on it. And, can you see? Yeah. And I'm going to do all these leaves. Like I did with the others, I'm going to try and make them a little darker at the base and lighter to the tip. They're quite small, so it may not show up too much. And you can see how the green shows up easily on the yellow. You don't need to worry about erasing it. It would just be too fiddly. If you did want to, with a particular picture, you can. Another idea is to use a masking fluid, but you have to be accurate with putting on your masking fluid, and I think I probably wouldn't bother. I think it's probably easier to erase than to use a masking fluid, to be honest. But it depends. You might prefer to use your paintbrush. Peeling off masking fluid is undoubtedly a lot of fun. The only problem is that you might find that you smudge your pastel as you're peeling it off. But if you've got like a big area that you're pasteling around, like say this bird on this side, then it might work out a lot easier to do it that way. Or even I've seen people trace the item, cut out a template and put it over the top. That's another way to do it, but again, that's quite cumbersome. You can probably go up to the edges. When it's something like that bird, it's actually quite easy. to just go quite close to the edges. You can use a smaller pad, like I've got these sort of makeup things, which you can get a little bit closer without going over the lines so much. I say so much because you know me, going over the lines is what I'm best at. So, but it helps a little bit. Now, there's a lot of leaves to do. I think I'm only going to finish this column on camera, or else I'm just going to be wittering away about boring nonsense, and I might start saying silly things. I probably do anyway, but you know. But what I will do is I am going to finish this and put a photo at the end so you can see what it looks like. But I'm just going to show you these dots. Can you see there's lots of little dots, and some of them are actually on this main picture as well. Excuse me. I've decided that I'd like the dots to be in orange. It works well with the yellow. We've got the orange butterfly. We're going to use the colour that we used for the butterfly, which I am just about to sharpen so I can just show you. And it is the burnt orange. Okay, and I'm just going to use it on all of the dots. All the way through. I just show you. I think it's still going to look quite spring-like, even though this orange isn't really a colour I associate with spring. I'm not sure about these two, but I'm just going to do them in orange anyway and hope that it'll work once we've done the rest, and it will hopefully tie in. So yeah, I'm going to do it on my own, especially here. I'm going to struggle a little bit, but I find a way. And the colouring is identical to what I've shown you. And the only thing is, if you really want this to stand out, you might want to put a black line just around the edge here. You know, just take your black pencil and work it down. You might want to use a ruler. I think I would if I was doing it. Just to pull that up a little bit from the background. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave it a little bit more subtle, more pretty and spring-like, you know, rather than any sort of really dark brown. But that's me. So hang on to the end. You'll see the completed picture. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Do have a really lovely day and happy colouring.